What's up? It's Jeremy Picker from Amber Creative.
This is Deanna with In the Zoning and Print Girl Mafia.
This is Ray Weiss with Printing United Alliance.
You're listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy, and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
The best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Fashion to the people.
2026. I'm Terry Combs. You can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery from Super Gamut and our Success Group. And this week, Terry, we've got a friend of mine, Mark Pomerantz with SalesWisdom, and he is going to be joining us to talk about the convergence of print and apparel and how us as apparel decorators can sell printing and just kind of lean into his sales wisdom here. So I'm excited to talk to Mark, really sharp guy, and I've had the pleasure of talking with him on his platform, and just am excited to learn from Mark here about sales and the print side of the world. And we've got Printing United Expo on the horizon here, so a good time to talk about this, I think.
You know, I was just thinking the same thing. A perfect roll roll towards Printing United, which is around the corner. So,
scary.
I know we shouldn't be talking about it, but it's true.
It is true. Yeah.
Everybody, make sure you stay till the very end. I'm going to be bringing the secret sauce today. Back to screen printing basics. Why printing off contact matters.
Awesome. That's going to be a good one, Terry. Screen printing basics and Terry, why does printing off contact matter? Oh wait, you're going to tell us here at the end.
Stay till the end.
Stay till the end. All right, I'll stay to the end then. I got it. All right. Well, in the meantime, we've got our good friend Cassie Green with the Apparelist here with us, and she is waiting in the wings to share the news hit with us today. So, Terry, you ready for some news?
Let's hear from Cassie.
Hey everybody. Yeah, y'all just gave me some palpitations just now about the expo and realizing how close it is. So, it's going to be great as always, but man, oh man, is it way closer than I anticipated. But let's get to some news today. First headline I've got for all of you, Royal Apparel launches Basic Supply Company. So as Rush, the band, embarks on its historic 50-something anniversary tour, Royal Apparel announces it will play a role in helping bring merchandise to the band. Over the years, Royal Apparel has developed a relationship with the Rush merchandise team. And as they've worked with that team on programs supporting the band's 50th anniversary tour, a new opportunity emerged. While Royal Apparel's Made in USA products remained an important part of the offering, the scale and demands of modern tour merchandise called for additional sourcing solutions and price points. Those needs became part of the inspiration behind Basic Supply Company, an imported apparel division created to expand what's possible for customers. The launch of Basic Supply allows Royal Apparel to offer customers additional solutions while they continue to invest in and expand the Made in USA manufacturing capacity to support future growth. Second headline I have for everybody today. This is a little bit self-serving, but also very exciting. Printing United Alliance recognizes 2026 Pinnacle Award winners. The Alliance's Pinnacle Awards celebrate excellence in both technology and product innovation and are open exclusively to Alliance corporate supplier members. The winning products and technologies can be viewed on a special online showcase gallery, with many technologies being showcased and celebrated at the Expo this September. Just a reminder, 23rd through 25th in Las Vegas. This year's entries were evaluated by a panel of expert judges who considered each submission's innovation, functionality, and industry impact. From a highly competitive pool of submissions, the judges awarded a total of 71 awards, categorized as follows: 25 output winners, 32 non-output winners, and 14 technical winners. Final headline I have for all you regulators this wonderful Friday morning: U.S. Colorworks expands digital platform. Coordinate Digital announces that U.S. Colorworks, a North Carolina-based apparel decoration and fulfillment company specializing in custom and on-demand printing, has expanded its Core-Neat digital production platform with the addition of the Atlas Matrix and Atlas Max Plus systems. Among the first companies to adopt Core-Neat's new Atlas Matrix DTG solution, US Colorworks is leveraging its ability to deliver the highest quality output across all fabric types, including polyester, projecting a 30% increase in apparel and textile production for all on-demand orders. This is all according to a press release from Core-Neat. So that's everything I have for the news today. And really quick before I go, let me say how excited I am for this episode because Mark Pomerantz is one of my favorite people, joining two of my other favorite people in the industry. So I hope y'all enjoy the show. Thanks, guys.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, thanks, Cassie. That was awesome, and appreciate the news. Ramona said, good morning, all. I love hearing the news. Thank you. Yeah, definitely.
Right. You know, I never ever questioned Cassie's numbers, but Rush 50 years, that can't be right. I listened to those guys in college. So,
Terry, that is right, sir. Sorry. Anything stand out in there besides that, Terry?
Oh, it's just I always love to hear about Printing United Alliance recognizing folks in the industry. It's just it's such a great opportunity at the expo to not only see everybody and see everything that's new, but see recognition of people who work hard every day in this industry to make it better. So that's probably the biggest thing I see. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. Interesting stuff happening for sure. But like you said, the recognition of people. And, I do think that we are part of this really awesome industry. Bringing in people like Mark, we see how big it is and how there's other aspects to it that we might not be aware of as apparel decorators, right? Sometimes we get our T-shirt blinders on. And so I'm excited about our conversation today. But just hearing the recognition and the hard work that everybody's putting into our industry is pretty cool. So,
are those T-shirt blinders screen printed, DTF, DTG?
They're just all tools, whatever the job requires, Terry. It doesn't matter. All right. Well, real quick, Doug is checking in instead of from Los Angeles, where Doug normally checks in. He's in Oxenholme, England today. So, Doug, world traveler there. So, appreciate you tuning in. It must be
have to fill us in on that.
Yeah, probably getting towards the evening there over across the pond, as they would say. So, if you guys are tuned in here, we've got Kim Johnson saying good morning from lovely Oklahoma. So hopefully she's enjoying the nice Midwest humidity again.
Hey, Kim Johnson, we all hope you're feeling better back home and had a little under the weather this week. So
got it. So are you, sir. So you sound pretty good. So
I was when I got up this morning, I'm doing the test 1 2 to see if I could talk.
Yeah, feeling froggy. All right. Well, Terry, Cassie mentions that we have the best dad jokes on earth. So I'm going to put this idea to the test today. I think this one might be a stretch, but we'll see. So if you're ready.
Up, no pressure, but Cassie's listening. So
okay. All right, Terry, what do you call a chicken staring at some lettuce?
I don't know, Aaron. What do you call chicken staring at lettuce?
A chicken sees a salad.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Chicken Caesar salad.
Chicken sees a salad. All right. Well, let's see. Our number count just went way down, but okay. I'll get here. All right, Terry. Well, let's do a little housekeeping before I get us thrown off the air with another bad joke or dad joke. I mean.
All right. Before we go any further, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We still need your voices. We would love to have the regulators participating in our show intros. Go to osg.link/intro. Read a few sentences and be a part of every show. Don't be left out. We are always looking for new guests, so if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2, the number 2, Regular Guys to book a future episode, or email us at info@tworegularguys.com with your show ideas. If you're listening to the podcast version of the show, we'd appreciate it if you would share the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. We would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, YouTube podcast, or wherever you do your podcast listening. If you're listening to us live right now, please join in with your comments and your questions. And Aaron, let's get on with the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Doug says he's still traveling for another week and a half. So yeah, I guess he can catch next week's show over there in England as well. So, all right. Well, let's get our guest in here, Terry, if you're ready.
I'm ready. Let's talk to Mark.
All right. Awesome. Hey, Mark, welcome in.
Hey, everyone. You know, you guys are pretty funny. We had a good audience here. I even laughed at the dad joke.
Mark, we've been at this for 14 years, every Friday for 14 years. So
yeah. I love the banter. It's hysterical. And yeah, a lot of fun. And by the way, congratulations on being able to do something like this for 14 years and 650 or 60 or whatever the number of shows. That's incredible. You guys deserve a lot of kudos and congratulations for that.
Thanks, Mark.
Well, we love doing it, so we appreciate you saying so, and we appreciate all of our listeners out there. Mark, one thing that we changed over the years was we used to, say, well, send us your bio, and we'd sit here and read your bio. And like my mom says, the only time you're perfect in your life is the day you're born and the day you write your resume. And so what we did was we said, hey, let's just hear from our guests. And so tell us a little bit about your journey in the print industry.
Yeah, well, thanks, Terry and Aaron, for having me here. First of all, it's an honor, and this is I really admire what you guys are doing. My life in print, and I am working on a book. That was the original title. I got some advice to change it because there was apparently about 20 others with that same title that you would never guess, right? But my life in print really started in high school and unintentionally, and I had a graphic arts and photography, and I wanted to study photography, and what I wanted to do was go to college and goof off and go into Colorado or someplace like that. And I wound up going to a school, RIT, I think to visit, just to kind of please my parents that I was looking at something seriously. And I was interested in photography, and they walked me through the printing laboratories and where they had the big presses and all that. It was like love at first sight. I never turned back. I changed my major before I even, got into the school, and I've been in print in one way or another for the most part over these many years. About when Rush was popular, right?
I was just going to say, you want to go to college, goof off, and listen to Rush.
yeah, and well, I'm talking about the band from before, also too, right?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was thinking of the same thing, right? So, wow, could that be really that long? So, in the course of my career, I've worked mostly for technology providers, OEMs, vendors, various terms that people use for that, but not exclusively. I did work for a large format printing company, and we built up a retail wide format signage, et cetera, business. I did that for a couple of years, and I also worked as a GM doing print on demand for customized cell phones when it was brand new. And you talk about a crazy job. I did it in a sense for a friend as a project, but I'm so glad I did. I got a lot of fantastic experience, and so it's really my point of raising those two is I've lived mostly on one side, but on both sides, and I didn't start my career in sales either. My first half was in products and marketing, and I was more interested in the technology. Until one day somebody challenged me and said, "Mark, you don't know anything about sales. You can't sell." So that was the wrong thing to say to a 30-something-year-old, wherever I was, right? So I took that personally and kind of changed the trajectory of my career into sales. And And I really never looked back. So I love this industry. I love the people in the industry, number one. And I've gotten to the point where I've ended my corporate career working for others and work for myself now. So Sales Wisdom is really just me. And I do special projects for mostly just for people I know or who know me and they trust me and I trust them, that type of thing. It's not, I don't retail the business. I'm not trying to build a consultancy, and I'm not a consultant, right? I'm just an actionable project kind of person. And fortunately, I've been doing that for a year and a half now. It's gone well. It's getting better, almost to the point where I might have to put the brakes on a little bit, because my wife reminds me, Mark, you were sort of supposed to be retiring a little bit here. So I have to be careful. But it's really all driven from my love of print, love of the industry, the entire industry, apparel, promo, labels, packaging. It doesn't matter if it gets printed or decorated. To me, it's all kind of one big tent that it's all under, and I love all of it.
Love it. Ah, so good, Mark. Well, we're excited to have you here and appreciate you spending some time with us here. You kind of mentioned, I don't know if we ever got to the year, but according to some stuff that I know about you, about 40-ish years in the print industry. We're now marking it by Rush, apparently. That's in the comments as well. But I guess my first question for you, Mark, is what changes have you seen in that time that maybe have surprised you? Especially as it comes to selling, but also what fundamentals have just stayed the same also?
Yeah, great questions, Aaron. And it's kind of two. I'll break them in two if you don't mind. And so on the first one, of course, there's so many changes, right? And when you're in the middle of it, sometimes you expect it or sometimes you're not, but there's definitely always ones that surprise me. And when digital really first started coming into the various print applications, commercial and books adapted it more than others first, but it was really ultimately available for all aspects of print. And what surprised me is, because it's still going on 20, 30 years later, is the long transition that it's taken. And not just, I don't mean necessarily just the technology, because you expect that technologies take time to people to adapt to and to be able to afford, and the whole financial aspect of it as well as the technology aspect of it. That's understandable, and it always continues to evolve. But I'm talking about in the transition to digital, the go-to-market side, particularly from print and decorator companies, right? Anyone who's putting print on some type of substrate or item or object. The sales and marketing has been very, very slow to adapt to all of the various advantages and what customers and consumers and the market is now used to. We're so used to getting something with 2 clicks and very quickly and very little, if any, interaction with people, and things kind of pre-established, pre-programmed, pre-built. And I know print is custom manufacturing. That's part of the value. I'm not suggesting that we all become a Vistaprint or something like that. But there's been a lot of, and this is what I can usually summarize it with one example. And many times I do speak with the sales team of a given client or just people that I know. And I'll ask them maybe about, how is this going? Or are you doing this? Or what do you think about some new item or technology that they have, or something that's a trend that's in their industry? And so many times I get the answer, well, the customers haven't asked for it yet. And when you hear that, it's like, oh boy, right? They're not going to ask you for it. Yeah. But if they find out without you, it might be too late, depending who told them, right? So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of managing the print business as it existed, and you had the inside operational people taking steps to improve the technology, reduce cost, ideally make a better experience. And that's only going to be as good as your sales and marketing, whatever your go-to-market is at the end of the day, because that's what the consumer, the buyer, the print buyer, the apparel buyer, whoever it is, that's what they're going to feel. They don't feel the other stuff. We like to think they do, but they don't. It's all about the experience for them. So that's really been surprising to me, that you would think sales or marketing would be leading the way, but in many ways, I think it's been lagging. It's getting better, but it's definitely extended the amount of time it's taken for this digital transition.
Interesting.
Now, surprising for me. As far as the fundamentals, this is a great question. I was just had on someone else, or maybe one of my podcasts, we talked about this. And so I think we all know everything over time will constantly change, right? Technology changes, trends change, buying criteria, the competitive landscape, all that stuff is always in some type of state of change. But sales, to me, sales starts with relationships, and relationships are based on trust, and trust is based on earned knowledge and performance that you do. So the fundamentals underneath all of that is to know your customer and know your prospects as deeply as possible. Know their business, know what's important to them, both business-wise and personally as well too, if possible. And if you do that, then you can work, I'd like to say, work from the customer backwards. Start there. Don't start with what you have and try and go and present that, but first, learn what they have, what they need, what they want, what they don't have, what they're missing, what's important to them. And if you then work backwards, then it's up to you as a solution provider to go back into the lab, so to speak, and work up the right solution for the clients. And that has not and will not change until the AI is only selling to some other AI solution, right? I mean, but for now, humans are still the pivot point. We're still in the middle of everything. And most people still, they like the guidance, they like the direction that they can get, and they like the experience of working with another individual. So the stronger you can build that relationship, the more you can work from the customer's objectives backwards, and then the more you can be, that will really allow you to be a solutions provider. And you have to stay focused on what is the results. That's another thing. The buyers are buying results. They're not buying print. They're not buying shirts. They're buying what it gets them. They're buying, that's the gold to them. The goal to us is getting an order, but the goal to them is what the results are. So help them achieve their results. That's a fundamental. I don't think that changes under any of these various, technology waves, et cetera, that we go through.
100%. It's true no matter what you're selling. But so, Mark, I think more than any other part of the print industry, apparel decorators get into this because of the creativity. Maybe they're a graphic designer. They love the art aspect of it. They might be excellent craftspeople, but most are reluctant salespeople. Mm-hmm. So what's the biggest mindset shift that they need so they can become better salespeople?
Yeah. And you know what, Terry, I don't think it's unusual to be a reluctant person. No. It's really not. And probably most people would fit into that category. So the first thing I like to try and put people at ease on this topic is don't feel that you have to be an expert in sales. Right? You don't have to know sales theories. You don't have to know sales processes. You don't have to understand KPIs and spreadsheets and all that other stuff that's been thrown in at us as salespeople over the last 10 or 15 years. But what you do need to be an expert in is like what I was speaking about just before. Be an expert in your customer's business and be an expert in your business. That's really your intellectual property. And I think it's important for anyone who's in some type of a sales role, even if they're an owner, a 1 or 2 person company, if they're the one facing the customer, don't feel that you have to be an expert in sales, because I'm not sure there are very many anyway, and I'm not sure I ever really listened to the so-called experts, and that includes anyone in your audience can say the same about me, but inside who you are and what your business is, and if you learn as much about your clients or your prospects' business, that's your selling advantage right there. And just Try to be relational. Don't worry about following a step or how do I close a deal. Closing is overrated. If you do all the right things, the customer will close the deal for you, right? Because you're meeting their expectations, you've built some trust, you've done something or offered something that they want. And so in the end, they're going to guide, if you're not a closer, they're going to guide you into that because they want whatever it is that you're offering. So I would say put yourself at ease in that. You know your business, you know what you can do, and if you can learn what the clients need, if you want to call that sales, okay, that's fine. But it's really just building that relationship and providing something as a solution that will help people achieve the results they're looking for. I'll come back to that probably in almost every question yesterday, but it's really that's where the focus needs to be.
Yeah.
And Mark, when they say yes, stop talking. How do you agree? Wait, I've got 5 more bullet points before we can wrap this up.
Yeah, I mean, I think I worked for, just a sidebar on this because you made me think of that, Terry. Well, HP is a company I worked for in the course of my career. And, at the time it was in the early 2000s and, 20 years ago. And they were really a company for their time at that time, right? And one of the things that we learned in that fast-moving, really selling tech more than anything else, and that was their approach, was how to be really good at PowerPoints and presentations and all that. That's another thing. Who you asked about is decorators, how do they become better at sales? Well, don't worry about that stuff because people on the other end, they don't want to hear, and they mostly don't want to watch it either, right? So, but we learned how to craft that out really well. But, if you've ever been on the other side of that, you kind of know how boring and unimportant it is, right? It's all about building that bridge of trust. And that's always number one. If you can cross that bridge, I've always found, because I didn't start in sales, I wasn't really a great salesperson, but I found that customers would help me. They would help me get across the finish line or tell me I needed to learn more about something. That happened, especially in my earlier years, all the time, and I'm very grateful for that, of course. Absolutely.
Yeah, good stuff. Wow, love it. Eric, earlier while we were talking, while you were sharing about the fundamental there, Mark said there can't be much more important a fundamental than that, folks. Know your customer needs and what's important to them. And then Ramona shared, I believe the 2 regular guys have said multiple times, what can you do for the customer, not what the customer can do for you. So yeah, we're all speaking the same language here, Mark, and I love it. And that's what I knew when I had a chance to talk to you on your podcast. We got into some of that discussion, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a terrible salesperson, but I can care about people and find out what they need, and that makes you an excellent salesperson, actually. So.
Absolutely, yeah, and so this rigidity around some of I'm really that anti KPI and sales process and step 2 and step 6, and you got to go back to step 4 and throw that stuff out the window, right? Yeah, you can, and you're sitting at your desk, you can look at something and, I didn't think of that, but you got to incorporate it into whatever your style and your relationship building activities are.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm with you on that. Yeah, I mean, sure, there's some use in some of that stuff, but at the end of the day, it's relationship building. So,
one other thing I just thought of that I would add for Terry's question about the people that are reluctant for salespeople. Sometimes the most natural thing that I've seen in the print or decorating industry is that people go out and feel that to sell, they need to focus on what their equipment can do. And that's kind of becomes their identity. Don't do that. I would say that's a don't do. It doesn't mean don't know that. Know the results that can come from that, but don't go tell people I've got this cornete or I've got this or I'm DTG, I'm DTF, I'm this, I'm that. That can come up at some point when they're asking you how you can accomplish something, but to identify yourself with your equipment, think of it. Anyone can do that. anyone can buy equipment, anyone can buy the same equipment, and you don't want to be seen as the same as anyone else. So for someone who's building a business and they have to become the outbound salesperson, as an owner or executive or manager in the company, don't fall into that trap. That's an easy trap. A lot of salespeople still fall into that trap. Try to avoid that. And I would say
that's a really good point.
Helpful.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Actually, one of my seminars, I always say, kind of bluntly, like, your customers don't care. If you can achieve the result with crayons and magic markers at the price point they need, they don't care if you've got a $100 million piece of equipment or $50 printer, right? So love it. All right. Warren Werbit, who we've had on this show, jumped in here and said clients have no idea about equipment. Anyways, it's just names. So
he's right.
Yep.
He's right. I was going to say something very in response to what you just said, Aaron. Very similar to what Warren said, is that they don't know it anyway. So you're talking gobbledygook to them, right? Yeah, and Warren's right. They might recognize the name. They might recognize Heidelberg or HP or something like that, but they don't know what it is, and more importantly, they don't care.
Yeah. Unbelievable. All right. Well, I want to talk a little bit about, the fact that we get a chance to chat together has come from the overlap here. And we get to be on the all-star team together with an amazing group of people. And we're seeing a lot more of this commercial print and apparel decoration overlap that's happening. And I guess, and this could go back to, early on in your career, Mark, to now, like, why are these industries converging more nowadays than before, maybe?
Yeah, I think as far as the convergence goes, and that's going back to your first question. Even I probably should have added there that's also been a bit of a surprise to me, is how fast it's happening now.
Okay,
and it's really kind of come out of wow. Always people may be talking about it, or an OEM saying my device can print this and that, but with no guidance around selling it to the different markets. And I think the primary reason that convergence is happening in whichever direction we were looking at, right? That an opportunity for decorators to sell print, an opportunity for printers to sell apparel. Whichever direction you're looking at, or whatever your perspective is, the good thing to me is, and that's different about it right now, is it's market and customer driven. And what I mean by that is, in the past, in print, historically, at least in my time, technology changes would drive these changes. A new technology is out, a new digital workflow. I mean, real basic stuff today, but at one point, all of that was new, and that would change a lot of things, and it would change the structure of the print service providers, and it would change what the print buyers had to do, and typically maybe less for them. So a lot of things would be eliminated in the past by technologies. Now, the digital technologies today, because there's a lot of level playing field out there with all of them, they're more like enablers, and they're not so much eliminating things. Now, people are going to think about AI, and I think that's still an open book, and I don't know if we can sort all of that out today. Any of us can, right? Yeah. There might be some changes there, but in general,
not quite enough time to sort out AI with left in the show.
Yeah, exactly. So, but what I do think is that is great and is interesting is that, think of who are the people today who are, buying print or buying for the events or for promotions or whatever the case may be. They're marketing people, and they're probably wearing a lot of hats. They're probably more junior in their career than they were in the past. There used to be a lot of trained print buyers and print production people who were specifically trained, and that was a career path and all. And a lot of that, not all of it, but a lot of that is gone. And when you think about how flat a lot of organizations are today, or small businesses are, because we've had a lot of growth in the entrepreneurial side in our economy in the last 10 years or so, they don't have people dedicated just to buy things like print or just to buy apparel or just for events, right? Some do, but in general, when you look at the broad market, so what do they want? Do they want to learn about all these different things? Do they want to become experts on it? Do they want to buy from 3 or 4 or 5 different vendors? No. They want to rely on, if they can, as few people as possible to get as many solutions and services as possible. So it's completely inverted. And when that happens, then you have from the buyer side, let's call it the consumer can say, hey, Terry, I get my shirts from you today, but what about the packages that it goes in? And what about the label? And what about like a mail? And what about a sign? Because it's going to an event and I know that they have signs. Do you do any of that? Right? So that's when I say it's client or market driven, that's what I mean. They don't want to deal with all of the various, segments and silos. They'd rather, if they like you, they're going to ask you and they're going to put you to the test or give you an opportunity to provide other services for them. And if you're a small or mid-sized business in particular, that I believe this is a huge advantage for you, you can be prepared for that and learn how to ask the right questions, survey your clients, put a questionnaire with the invoices every month. There's a whole slew of things that you can do to learn what your existing clients or the prospects you're working on, what else are they doing? And then you can determine as a business, as a company, is this something we can do? And now you have something to talk about with these, with existing customers or with your prospects. And so why is convergence happening, Aaron? I think one, it's a lot easier than ever before, and technology has enabled that. And then number two, the buyers, the consumers are looking for it. And when they are the ones who spend the money, they pay for all of this, right? So when they start asking for it and they show a preference and they would rather deal with an Amazon type experience, right? I can go to one website and I can order this, I can order that, I can order this. They don't care if you're outsourcing it. They don't care if you're printing it. They don't care if you're decorating it. Ideally, they just care that you provide the right service solution experience for them. And I think that's really the driving force behind convergence.
Yep, definitely. All right, real quick here, Mark, we've got some comments from our listeners here. Brian from Realistic Replicas gave us a little bit of history. He left a job in '87 from Montgomery Ward's and operated until 2011 and sold coincidentally on '89. They did Rush prints on albums, so Rush keeps showing up in this podcast here today. But what I wanted to share is he said, he had a print company and they sold everything they could, labels to grocery stores, indoor signage, printed on Jacklink beef jerky, marketing material, right? So kind of like you were talking about there, Mark, right? Like what are the other things that your customers could need? And when you start that convergence, I think you can see that. So.
Yeah, and I hope I don't make it sound like this is something that's new and hasn't been done before. Yeah, a lot of people have thought this way, of course, over time. Sure. I think it was a little more challenging, probably. I'll bet he would agree from a production perspective then than it is now, and maybe more expensive for the owner to buy different print or finishing equipment, whereas a lot of it is a little more multi-purpose today. But there's also still the whole, partnership and outsourcing, and you don't have to own all of the manufacturing. And I think you guys, I'm sure, know that well in the apparel and promotion side of the business. That's very spread out amongst, a variety of ways, and you've got a lot of people that are selling the products and not nearly as many that are manufacturing them. Whereas in commercial print, there was always more, I have to make what I sell. And that led to a lot of things that caused some challenges in the industry, quite honestly, overcapacity and, and then downward pressure on pricing and all those things. And, Warren will probably love to comment on that as well, too. But a lot of that digital is leveling the field. And I know it's not all that way, but a lot of this starts to go away now and makes it, I don't know if easy is the right word, but more accessible to offer a variety of products and projects to your clients and cross market, sell, et cetera. It's a bit easier, and there's a more willing audience. More importantly, right? Maybe those professional buyers, they like their label salesperson, and they like their print salesperson, and they like their apparel and event salesperson, and they want to go out to lunch with all of them, right? Yeah. You don't have that anymore. There used to be a lot of that, but there's not nearly as much anymore.
Yeah. All right. Well, first of all, Amanda says hello to all the regulators, but along this is kind of the same subject that you're on, but what would you say some of the opportunities decorators miss out on because they just focus on selling a t-shirt instead of a customer's overall needs, their overall brand?
Well, yeah, that one's, yeah, there's a lot. I think a lot of directions we can go with it. What are they missing out on? I think we talked a little bit about this, right? I think, yeah, I go back to what I said before. I'm sorry. I was just trying to make sure I wasn't duplicating myself too much.
No, you're good. You're good. We're bouncing around a little bit, so
yeah, no, that's okay. If you look at the adjacent products, again, this goes back to asking the questions: what are they doing? What are they buying? Who are they doing business with? Is there anything that they're thinking about doing? Asking questions is not a natural thing for the quote unquote typical salesperson. Good salespeople do know how to do it well. And that is part of a relationship. If you can build trust, you can ask questions. And you can even ask why, right? Which is the hardest question to ask. So I struggle with this one. I did skip over back to my notes, and I'm not sure I can answer this one well from as an insider, Terry, but looking at it from the outside, I would say that there's things, on the packaging, the labels, the stickers, the signage, some of the things I talked about. These are all adjacent things for apparel. And it comes down to, well, one of the guys I learned a lot about sales from when I was younger, he used to call it, and this is more for people our age once again, he says, you got to be Columbo. You have to just keep asking one more question, the one more question.
Towards the door.
Yeah, I don't know who was first, Columbo or Rush, but just asking that question. And I think, what are they missing out on? They're missing out on something that they just don't know about typically. Yeah. And so part of the task is to find out. So yeah, when you're new with somebody, you want to build trust, you want to build success, you respond to what they're asking you to do. I don't suggest you go through an interrogation before you start doing business with somebody. But as you prove yourself and as you build that relationship, then you can start to ask the questions. What else? What other things? Is there somebody else down the hall who's responsible? Is there another marketing person who handles events? Right, and I know the shirts go to all these events you have, but do they use signs at these events? All those types of things. It's being a Columbo is the best way.
Yeah,
that you can try and find that out.
Yeah,
and Mark, while you were answering that question, I started thinking about what you said earlier, where people don't necessarily want to buy their shirts here and their signs here and their printed whatever item here. I guess there's always the risk too of being the one that gets cut out because the sign guy also now does T-shirts. So,
well, yeah, and it's Aaron and Terry, you may know too. Colin McDermott, one of our fellow All-Stars, and he has a program that he's been running for a couple of years in the UK, and it's called Print Mastermind, and I've been fortunate enough to be included as one of the educators, and my focus has been on the convergence story and why it's important. And that's one of the points I made. Terry's exactly what you just said. If you don't ask these questions or find out about these things, someone else is probably going to find out about you. And then you all of a sudden turn into a target. And you can lose business and have done nothing wrong.
Right.
And for a small company, that's really tough. And so, yes, I agree. That's a huge point. If there's a lot of convergence happening, there's a lot of people trying to get out of the market they're in because the grass is always greener, and they see, oh, promotions, they must make big margins over there. Oh, apparel, they must make big margins. Oh, commercial print, same. And it always looks better from the outside. But people are looking and they're fishing. And if it's easier to get there and they've been given some guidance and they understand what they're looking for, the odds are they're coming after you too. You don't realize that, right? Yeah. Or they're going at your end clients, and that's so good. It's that football expression, right? The best defense is a good offense in this case, not the other way around.
Yep, that's perfect, Mark. Yeah, I love that. Such good stuff. All right, well, Mark, we want to leverage your expertise on the side here. We're going to be together here in September, all under one big happy roof there. And I know when I've been to Printing United in the past that sometimes you kind of got print in this hall and you got apparel in this hall and the zones and all that stuff, which is great. And then I walk over into the print world, I'm like, I'm not sure what I should be looking for here, right? Like, I see all the big equipment, but if I'm somebody that's not as familiar with the print side of this industry, when I'm at Printing United, what should I be looking for? What questions maybe I'm asking or things like that? Any tips for us apparel folks in the print world?
Sure, and I should have looked at the schedule before this. But first thing I would say is don't just walk the floor. It's important to do that. And I'll circle back to that. But don't just do that. Sign up for a few sessions as well, too. Take the time to go to a session that's about whatever it is you're considering or want to learn about. If you're in apparel, go and if there might be something about direct mail, or there might be something about packaging or labels, or there might be something that's more appropriate in the commercial print world. And I would say go to that, and because then a couple of things happen. One is you start to learn an insider's perspective on what the issues are, and you might hear some things that you didn't know that say, hey, wait, I might be able to be helpful there. And it's also an opportunity to network, because as I mentioned earlier, don't just think you always have to buy equipment to get into a new market. That might be your ultimate goal. But particularly if you're a smaller company, you probably want to start by selling, partnering, outsourcing, however you like to phrase that, and whatever opportunity is available. And so potential people are in that room for you right there. And you can hear who's asking the question, and someone asks an interesting question. You have the opportunity to, after the session is over, go and introduce yourself. And I can't tell you, in my own career, and other people have told me the same thing. People are overly concerned about things like leads. I never was. I was always more concerned about interactions. And there's a great opportunity to have an interaction. And by the way, maybe they're looking for something you do as well too. And because if there is convergence going in both directions, and there is, then why not be in a room with other people from other aspects of the print industry that might need your services? And you get a chance, maybe by asking a question in the group, or going up and speaking to somebody and then asking them, hey, are you doing anything in promo? Are you doing anything in apparel? Is there something maybe we could do? Are you looking for a partner, right? So it's a lot harder to say no to people in person. It's a lot easier to get a point across in person. That type of interaction, to me, of course, all of the equipment is important. Of course, all of that should be seen. And as far as what to see on the floor, oh gosh, it's what if you're interested in label and packaging, maybe go see the people who have the strong entry-level type stuff, like Konica Minolta or Domino. There's two good examples right there. For printing, make sure you see the workflow people, because that's really important, because you can always own workflow and outsource print as well too. But most importantly, effectively, if you're going there to do something to improve your business, make sure you're in those sessions, you're networking with the people, go to the after hours events. Gosh, I was probably in about 3 conversations last year at the after hours events around business, and just either trying to help someone or help them locate or connect them to someone that they needed to get connected with. And I just believe if you invest in those types of things, you're always going to get some type of return. So I would really stress that as being the at least equivalent importance in addition to walking the floor and looking at the equipment.
Love it.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Get out there, interact. That's why these events are taking place. That's why you have to get off the internet and put on your walking shoes and get to a trade show, especially Printing United in Las Vegas. And Mark, we've come to the end here. I can't wait to meet you in person there. Where can people learn more about what you do, and how could they reach out and contact you?
Sure. Well, thank you. And I've really enjoyed this, by the way, guys. It's been a lot of fun. I have, well, you can find me on LinkedIn, Mark Pomerantz. I have a business page on LinkedIn as well, SalesWisdom, which you can find there by looking up SalesWisdom. I have a YouTube channel, and it's, what is it, Mark the Wise Owl, I think, or the Wise Owl, it is. And you can find it under SalesWisdom there, or you can find the links on my profile. And we also, of course, have our website, saleswisdom.net. And I'm going to live up to what I just said. Most importantly, for anyone in the audience, come to Printing United. First of all, like Terry just said, you should get off to stop scrolling and start, walking, right? And I think it's going to be an awesome show this year. And for anyone out there, I would love to just meet you, even if it's a hello, and I loved what you talked about, or hey, you didn't know what you were talking about, whatever it is. I would love the opportunity. Like I said, I love the people in this industry and never meet enough of them. And that's such a great place to do it. So any one of you who's going to be there or thinking about it, make sure you do. And you can find me at one of the Printing United locations, Spill the Ink, or I'll be around.
Yeah. Definitely. You definitely need to go make sure you connect with Mark. Mark, this has been awesome. I'm sure we're going to do this many more times, but I know we just scratched the surface of your experience here. So thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge with the regulators, our listeners, and we're excited to see you in person in Las Vegas coming up in September, at the end of September.
Likewise, guys. Thanks again. It's great to be here. I appreciate it.
Fantastic.
Wow. That was awesome.
That's fun.
Yeah, super fun, and tons of great information in there too. I don't know. We've had so many great shows over the years, Terry, but the ones where like we get to have a little bit of fun and there's really good information, right? Those are really it, right? And even though we threw some curveballs at Mark with jumping around for a time perspective, Mark, it was incredible. So,
Aaron, people who love what they do have fun talking about it. I think that's the bottom line.
Yep. Real quick, Terry, there were so many good comments happening as well, and I didn't want to interrupt here, but like Warren had said, we sold everything under the sun, under one roof, and how we could sell it by saying we can manage your brand across all platforms, or you could go to 5 vendors and hope things match, right? So yeah, there's an opportunity there. And then Brian from Realistic said, nowadays with digital, you could easily design a unique one-off example at a minimal cost to open the door for more work and build that market, right? So, and then Ramona shared, expos and trade shows equal awesome networking opportunities. And Warren shared, important point, if you go to the show, you will find great ideas. So, Brian, we loved your stories. They were not long-winded. They were perfect. All right. Well, Terry, we got some things coming up here. We talked a little bit about Printing United. We'll probably hit that a little bit more, but go ahead and share what you've got coming up here.
Yeah, my complete screen printing business course. Upcoming dates with Atlas Screen Supply in Chicago, August 22nd, 23rd, and November 7th and 8th. DAX Twin City, I'll be at the DTF Superstore booth on August 7th and 8th. I will be in at Printing United, the Apparel Zone, September 23rd through 25th. I'll be in the DTF Superstore area. Remember, the Apparel Zone is all about education, not selling. So it's a safe space for you to ask all your DTF and DTG questions. Watch for all of my upcoming events at terrycombs.com. How about you, Aaron?
Yeah, that's awesome, Terry. like I said, it's a safe space. Terry's always a safe guy to talk to about this stuff. So make sure you're reaching out to Terry there. So Terry, the first thing I want to just invite people to an awesome, really cool experience that's going to be happening here in St. Charles, Missouri. It's called Purpose Plus Profit. It's a retreat happening on the 30th and 31st of October. And it's a place where small business owners will step away from the noise and reconnect with their purpose. They're going to get practical strategies for stronger profit margins and build a real community of people who understand the journey. So we've intentionally limited the seating. And if this sounds like the room that you need to be in, which I believe that if you're a small business owner, this is a room you need to be in. You can message the host, who's Becky Kotzer. You can find her on Facebook, or you can just message me directly. You can send an email, Aaron at our success group, and just reach out. We'll happily jump on a call with you or whatever we need to do to give you the information that you need. But spots are already starting to fill up. So, and we haven't even really started promoting yet, other than a few little quick mentions here. So Purpose Plus Profit happening October 30th and 31st. And Terry, if you want to wear a costume on the 31st, you're welcome to do it. And then you mentioned DAX. Yep, this is the last DAX show of the year. I think it's been a great year for the DAX shows, and I think they're filling a need in that area, and they've even expanded out into some other locations like Tampa and places like that. So DAX Minnesota, one of their hallmark shows, it'll probably be their biggest of the year, is happening in Minneapolis, back in the cities, and that's coming up August 7th and 8th. As Terry mentioned before, I will be teaching 3 classes there, and you can find me in the Super Gamut booth, which will be right up front at the entrance of the show there. If you use the code SUPERROB2026, just all one word, no spaces or anything like that, you'll get a $30 education credit and a free show floor entry. So make sure you use that code. And I've got some great classes. The Myth of Everyone is Your Customers happening. Buy Burnout's happening right after that. And then on Saturday morning, I'm facilitating with Rob Super and Sean Stewart, DTF 101, from file to finished print, what actually matters. And you've sat in on that one before, Terry. I think we cover a ton of ground about some areas that people don't think about when they're looking at their DTF business, and how that might affect their bottom line. So
there are lots of questions, so that means people are hungry for information like this. So,
yep, definitely. I think that's about it for me. And Eric, I'm going to jump into Eric's stuff here, Terry, because I know we've got a secret sauce to get to. Eric is going to be having the Take Up today, episode number 258, machine embroidery, stitch type selection, the big 4 and more. So the teaser right there, I don't know what the big 4 are, so I have to tune in. But he's going to answer the question, why do we select the stitch types we do for digitizing a given image? What are the main stitch types that make up the most of the modern machine embroidery? And just a really opportunity to get back to basics and push beyond an introduction to interpreting art for embroidery, as Eric answers questions he's received recently from new stitchers and printers moving into the embroidery world. So you can jump in at 2:30 Mountain Time or 4:30 Eastern Time, whichever time zone you're in there. Head over to ericcampbell.com and click the Take Up at the top to access that and all of his prior episodes there. And you can get all the information there, again, at ericcampbell.com. So, all right, Terry. I think we covered it all. And Brian says, I bet Terry is one of those teachers everyone likes. And I would agree with that. I think that's
Thank you for saying that.
Very true statement. So, sir, teach us some screen print basics here, please.
Let's do it. I'm Terry Combs, and my secret sauce today is back to screen printing basics, why off contact matters. When we started doing secret sauce here on the Two Regular Guys, we thought it would be great to drill down into a singular subject. I remind myself each time that I shouldn't take for granted any specific knowledge or experience our listeners might have. Sometimes a reminder of the basics and why we do things the way we do them can be a benefit to both new and more experienced decorators. So why does off contact matter? And for new decorators, what is off contact? Off contact is the space between a screen and the platen with a shirt on it. In garment screen printing, the screen mesh should never touch the shirt when the screen is lowered down into position to print. The only place the screen mesh should touch the garment is along the sharp edge of the squeegee blade with the print stroke. So let's start with why. If the screen mesh were laying flat on the garment, it would print just fine. But when you lift the screen off the shirt, the ink that's still in the screen and the ink that's still on the shirt, they don't want to let go of each other. So when the screen is lifted, it might pull the screen from the or pull the shirt from the adhesive, move your shirt, or more commonly cause a rough texture on the shirt because pulling away of the screen and the pulling apart of the ink will cause this rough texture. That's why in garment screen printing, we always print off contact. So how much off contact? If we're using properly tensioned screens, your off contact will only need to be about the distance of a quarter laying flat on a shirt on top of your platen. Using poor quality screens, you're going to have to allow for this issue by a greater distance between mesh and screen. Once your off contact is set on your press, though, you shouldn't ever have to touch it again. Someone out there is thinking, well, Terry, what if my next job is hoodies? And you're right. That's a really good question. I don't like anyone in my shop, though, turning knobs and readjusting settings. So here's a simple pro tip. When I switch to fleece, I just take a paint stir, lay it on the screen clamp, then put my screen frame right on top of that paint stir and clamp it down. You've raised your off contact for fleece without anybody turning a knob and adjusting the press. It's important to always screen print garments with your press set for off contact. It always seems to be smaller tips end in the biggest results. That's my secret sauce for today.
Great.
Made it.
Great secret sauce. Good job. And appreciate that information there for everybody. And looking forward
for all
to
our listeners out there. I couldn't talk for probably 4 days this week. So,
but it's back in time for the two regular guys. I love it.
Exactly right.
So good. All right, Terry. Well, we have come to the close of another show. This has been a great conversation. Thank you so much to everybody that tuned in, all the regulators for all their comments and jumping in there. And special thanks to Mark Pomerantz from SalesWisdom. Make sure that you go check out saleswisdom.net. And also, we will see you in person there in Printing United in September 23rd through the 25th, and Mark will be there. So make sure that you go introduce yourself to Mark and say, hey, I heard you on the Two Regular Guys podcast. And like you said, you can tell him that he was wrong or right or whatever, but Mark's a great guy, somebody you want to
He
know.
invited that.
He did. He did.
I'm anxious to meet Mark in person there as well.
Yeah.
Also, thanks to our show producer, Eric Campbell, for all he does, keeping us on the air, pushing those buttons, turning those wheels. We appreciate it, Eric.
Yep. Thank you very much, Eric. And next week we are still working on a show. So if there's anything you guys want to hear about or any people we need to be talking to, please let us know. You can go to you can email info@tworegularguys.com and let us know who we should be talking to. And or if there's a topic that you'd love to learn more about or whatnot, just any thoughts that you have. But we'll have a great show for you guys next week. And after that, we've got a guest from PPAI joining us to talk about sustainability and some other things there. One of the partners that Teresa has connected us with, so through the program with Jay and whatnot, Terry. So we got some good stuff coming up here, but next week we're still working on that show. So
yeah, if you've been trying to work up the nerve and say I should be on the show, the time is at hand.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery,
and that was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.